I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
There's a guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao clowns Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, saying he feels sorry for the fans because this is not the kind of fight boxing deserves. Pacquiao points out that it will be boring and nothing more than an exhibition. He reminds everyone that Floyd has been retired for years and has not fought seriously in a long time.
The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao has not held back in his criticism of Floyd Mayweather. He expressed that he feels a sense of pity toward the retired champion because his priorities are tied almost entirely to financial gain. According to Manny, the purpose of Mayweather returning to the ring is not about legacy or sport, but about squeezing money out of exhibition spectacles. He described the possible showdown with Terence Crawford as an event motivated solely by greed rather than athletic competition. For Manny, this reflects a hollow approach to boxing, as it strips away the essence of competition and reduces the sport to a business performance, where fighters walk in like models.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like, a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get it to heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement that Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson would meet in 2026 created shockwaves across the boxing world. Analysts quickly pointed out that this matchup does not represent two fighters at the peak of their powers, but rather an entertainment spectacle designed for revenue. The bout is being billed as a warm-up for Mayweather before he potentially faces Terence Crawford in the same year. Observers say that both events are structured around financial gain, with massive pay-per-view numbers expected. Tyson still carries legendary status, while Floyd maintains his global brand, meaning the clash is certain to attract
broadcast for Jake and Tyson and some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules, exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
So you don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has consistently shown admiration for Manny Pacquiao. When speaking about him, he emphasized that Manny's career stands alone in boxing history. The Filipino icon captured title roles across multiple weight divisions, often fighting bigger opponents and winning against the odds. Crawford expressed that Manny's success was not only historic, but also nearly impossible for anyone to repeat, since he achieved greatness in a unique era by taking on challenges no other fighter would dare attempt.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
The idea of Terence Crawford facing David Benvitz has become a popular talking point among fans. Benvitz is viewed as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport today. With size, youth, and aggression on his side, supporters believe that such a matchup would test Crawford in ways no other opponent has so far. Despite this excitement, no official confirmation has been made, leaving the debate as speculation. The discussion highlights the hunger among boxing fans for meaningful, high-risk fights that go beyond exhibitions and celebrity-driven spectacles.
Shocked the world, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Trainer Greg Hackett spoke with admiration when assessing Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. He referred to Canelo as the shark of boxing, a symbol of dominance who had controlled the sport with strength and skill for many years. In Hackett's view, the fact that Crawford not only faced Canelo, but dismantled him, shows a shift in power at the very top of the boxing world. Beating the fighter who was once seen as untouchable makes Crawford the new predator in the waters, the man every other contender must fear. Hackett's remarks also spark an important question about the future. If Crawford...
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit
question.
Gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark, and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, to me, it don't make sense. But
that's really a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Your line of suits, get your money, man. Go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't got to sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't got to work, you ain't got to sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody. The fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's because when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you could get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get fucked up. I seen it happen.
Analysts widely agree that Terence Crawford's dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez marked a defining moment in his career and ended any serious debate about his place in boxing history. Before this fight, many fans already respected Crawford for his decisive win against Errol Spence, about where he displayed complete control and silenced critics who had questioned the level of his opposition. However, defeating Canelo carried an even greater significance. Canelo had long been viewed as one of the sport's strongest pound-for-pound fighters, a champion who reigned across multiple divisions and regularly fought bigger and stronger opponents. Crawford not only met that challenge, but dismantled Canelo in a manner few thought possible.
But I think there was enough action. And I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not going to, but Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd, but and Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So, no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
it did.
The debate between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather has become one of the most compelling conversations in modern boxing. On one hand, many analysts argue that Mayweather's defensive genius, impeccable timing, and unmatched ring IQ would have given him the upper hand had the two ever clashed in their primes. Floyd was a master at neutralizing an opponent's strengths, dictating the pace of the fight, and forcing world-class challengers into uncomfortable positions. His undefeated record is often cited as proof of his ability to adjust to any style. On the other side, a growing number of voices believe Crawford's adaptability, punching power, and relentless composure could have made him Mayweather's toughest opponent. Crawford's ability to switch stances seamlessly and apply pressure in intelligent bursts sets him apart from most fighters Floyd faced.
Fantasy matchup between Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards Prime Crawford over Mayweather. And the reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in-the-pocket boxing with defensive on-the-move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was underdeveloped is his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the bull by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. Can't see him doing that. And if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard for Mayweather wouldn't be enough, in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or on the back foot, when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. The famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. But coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. Go watch Mayweather's old fights. You'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
With his accomplishments stacking up, Crawford finds himself at a crossroads. Fans clamor for him to take on new challenges, whether it be Benavidez, Gerald Charlo, or other big names. Yet, there is also the real possibility that Crawford chooses retirement rather than continuing to take risks. At 37, he has little left to prove and could walk away while still on top. This uncertainty creates tension among fans, who fear the sport might lose.
Turkey Sheik said, deliver the job to Terence Crawford. The fight is fake showbiz.
Saturday, deliver the job.
Y'all missed the most important part. It's when he said, don't retire.
No retirement.
This is what you guys are missing. Turkey Sheik was trying to say, return the favor.
You must return. Yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't done, which prompted Turkey Sheik to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the first part, return the favor. But Turkey, in a second thought, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
No retirement.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you. You got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier has become one of the latest voices to praise Terence Crawford while reacting to Ilia Topuria's surprising call-out. Cormier, who is respected for his deep understanding of combat sports, acknowledged that Topuria is on an impressive rise in mixed martial arts and has the momentum of a future superstar. Yet, despite the hype surrounding the young fighter, Cormier made it clear that he would still place his confidence in Crawford without hesitation. He stated that Crawford has already shown the world why he deserves recognition as the greatest active fighter in the sport today, with his resume and dominance speaking louder than any speculation. What makes Cormier's words especially powerful is that they come from outside boxing, showing how Crawford's influence has reached beyond his discipline.
Would I bet that Ilia Topuria could knock Terence Crawford out? No chance. If I had to bet Ilia Topuria versus Terence Crawford, I'm betting Terence Crawford. I mean, he's the best boxer in the world, and this is what he does, and he's done his entire life. But we also knew that about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We knew, right, deep down, that Conor McGregor was not going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. But because of what we had seen him do inside of the octagon, what we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA, when he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least sell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilia Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to ignore stuff.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned